Okay, so this is going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully this will only take you a little while. I realize I go fast, so I'm really trying to be mindful and slow things down and explain things very, very fully, because obviously our sub is not going to know what kind of fun we can get into in Adobe Illustrator. So let's take this very slowly. We're going to come up here under File. We're going to say New. And you'll notice we're set for inches. A vertical page orientation or portrait, and I'm going to say create. Okay. So first step, I'm coming over here to the rectangle tool. If you like to hit key commands, you can hit M to select that rectangle tool. I'm going to click and drag. Okay. This does not have to be square. It's not that kind of an operation here. Okay. So I'm going to even make it a little out of square just to make you guys a little more comfortable. So you'll notice we have the default colors here. Okay, if I click this, we are always going to end up with a white fill and a black stroke. To turn off the fill, okay, you should know this by now, we're going to click on the fill. Okay, down here we're going to click on the none or not icon, as I like to call it. Okay, so now how do we get the stroke back on top? We get that by clicking on the stroke, and you'll notice that now that is on top. So let's thicken this up. I'm coming up here under stroke weight at the very top, okay, and I'm going to change this to a number 8. I'm going to highlight it, type 8. Now you can really see that stroke. Okay, what I'd like to do is to give that a gradient in there, because this will make it a whole lot more fun once we get to what we're doing. So here we go. I'm going to click on this. If you cannot find gradient over here in your menu, you may find gradient here by hitting Control F9. Okay, so now we have a gradient. All right, and you know, grayscale gradient's kind of boring. I think we can have a little bit more fun than that. So I'm bringing my cursor down. I'm going to double click on this anchor node at the end of the gradient. Okay, so now theoretically I can change this to another color. So I can use swatches if I would like. All right, make this green, or I can come over here and now I've got RGB and I can use the sliders. Okay, so we've got one end is green. Now I'm going to click down here and you'll notice that that went away. Okay, so now let's edit the white end of the gradient by double clicking on that. Okay, and if I click here, you'll notice that the gray is not going away. If we go into swatches, it will kick it back into like an RGB mode, but if you ever need to, check it out up here. Here we go, clicking in that upper right corner, I'm going to hit the RGB. Okay, and I'm going to give it a nice cyan color, the same thing I had in my demo. So remember, up here you can click out of grayscale mode. You can come down here if you want. You know, pick an existing. Once you have this, then you're in RGB mode. Okay, so next step, let's have a little bit more fun. These are going to control your corners. Okay, these little round circles. You'll notice that the cursor is very contextual and it changes. All right, so if I bring this and I click and drag, look at that. Now we have rounded corners on our box. Okay, so that's okay. It doesn't look anywhere near as cool as what I showed you in the demo, and you're probably wondering, when are we going to get to the good stuff? That time has now come. So what we can do is we can come up here under Effect, okay, in the top menu bar. Then I'm going to come down to Distort and Transform. Okay, from Distort and Transform, we are going to select Transform. Okay, this is where stuff really starts to get fun. Okay, so now we have this dialog box. You'll notice that we have our controller here. I'm going to click on Preview, and just for giggles, I'm going to pick a number out of thin air. I'm going to say 15. Okay, so now we can start playing with some of these sliders. Check it out. All right, we can move things. All right, we can twist things and turn them. All right, I can hit random and all kinds of crazy stuff will go on. So, you know, you can, well, I guess you can't transform it anymore with the anchor points, but if you would like, play with these and see what kind of wacky stuff you might get. Now you'll notice that as things, you'll notice we have an 8-point stroke here, but as things get smaller, we're scaling horizontal, and 83% is still a little bit smaller than 100%, right? 62%. Moving is going to move this little inside piece, so it's going to change inside that width there. We can reflect X and Y. Not doing too much for me there, is it? If I turn off random, we get all kinds of stuff. We can change the number here. Let's change it to 60. Let's see what we get. Okay. Whoops. Let's go back. Actually, here's something really interesting. So now, if you were to try and go back with effect and come in here and click transform, see how this is going to apply another instance of the effect. We don't want that, okay? So if you said, but Mr. E, I want to go back and change something. I think, you know, I need to adjust. Over here is the appearance menu. You can also find appearance up here under your window, Shift F6, okay? So if I wanted to, you'll notice that under appearance, there's all kinds of stuff. Transform shows up here. So if I wanted to, I can delete the transform effect, or I can come in here and edit where I left off, okay? So I think we tried to put in 60. It didn't really seem to do much for me. What happens if I change some of these other points? Okay, so if I'm changing these, it's the origin point is doing some crazy things. What if we hit random? Now we're getting even more radical, weird stuff. There may be a use for this. You never know. It could be a fun thing for you to use somewhere. So maybe you create a border with this. Maybe you do something, you know, silly. Who knows? You can also, let's say, okay, take that, right? What would happen if we click on this and we come back to our gradient, right? And we fade one of these out, okay? So that now it's even got a more interesting effect. So this is what kind of fun you can have with transform. And once again, how do we get to that? Window, no, effect, distort, transform, okay? And once we get that, no, we don't want to add a new one, but if we need to edit, we know that we can come in here. Watch this. If I come here and take, actually I need to have the object selected. Let's grab that first. If I come here and I'm not really happy with that, I can click on delete, and now it's gone. And we can come back and start it all over again. So remember, appearance will help you to edit it once you've left that original dialog box and you've got something set up. So coming in here under effect one more time, transform, distort, transform, transform, and then we're going to click on preview. We're going to make about 12 copies maybe, goofing around, changing stuff, twisting stuff around, maybe hit random. Okay, I don't think I like that too much. I think I want to keep it all inside. So now let's try that. All right, you can really spin some stuff around. All right, and click one of these guys, you get an arc. You never know what you're going to do. You just have to kind of play with these things and see how they work out. All right, so I hope you have some fun with that. And then we'll get on to our next one, which is a little bit more complicated. All right, have fun.